I like to thank the grace of heaven, the virtues of the masters, and compassion and mercy of grand predecessors, predecessors, transmitters, lecturers, temple masters, and all of you for giving me this opportunity to talk about today's topic, which is Tao Te Ching, chapter 26. Okay, so here's the overview. It's called reliable resources, or you can say essentials. Literally, it means heavy supplies or logistics. 直重, okay, 直重. Okay, all right, and it's three main sections. That the first sentence, he just stating his premise or his thesis, okay, and then in phrases 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are he would go into detail, okay, a little bit details, okay, about what his thesis is, okay. So it's in, you could say 3 subsections, okay, in the main section, okay, or in the center sections, okay, the 3. And then there's a conclusion, okay? That should tie back to the first 2 lines. Oh, yeah, okay? All right, so that's the overview. So this is a relatively, it is a shorter chapter than last week. Okay, and next week will be longer, so same thing. So this is a break, nice little break, okay? Breather, okay? All right, let's go to the outline. Okay. All right. Okay, so the essentials. Okay, so first statement. Heaviness is the root of lightness, and quietness, stillness, quietness, maybe quietude, quiet is the master of restlessness. Okay. Let's go to some of the translation, some of the definition. 重 literally means heavy, heavyweight, weighty. It could mean, but it means also could mean as an adjective. Well, these are adjectives, but important, heaviness. Okay. Now, in this context, Lao Tzu was not talking about how heavy things are. Okay. I mean, by weight. He's talking about the serious intent, or deep thinking, gravitas, okay, gravitas, okay, all right, lots of meaning, you guys, okay. The third word, qing, okay, yes, it's the opposite of heavy, okay, 重, okay, it can mean easy, simple, okay, small, but in this case, or in this context, it just means something that's not serious, unimportant, frivolous. Frivolous is the term in Chinese for frivolous is 轻忽, 轻浮, right? Okay, gentle, soft. It could mean that. Now it could be a verb too. Okay, to disparage, but in this context, it's just being frivolous, superficial, transient emotion. Things that don't last, that is lighthearted, okay, stuff like that. All right, transient emotion that come and go, moods that change quickly. Okay, all right. In the and then the last word, the first phrase means root, base, or foundation. Okay, all right. Then the okay. So the basic meaning of the first phrase is it just means that being serious does not mean to include something that is frivolous. Okay. Right. Another understanding is because the literal translation is heaviness is the root of lightness, right? So that means anything that's light, that's not serious, could be gentle, superficial. Still, it's based from something that's heavy. Okay, so that's the root. Okay, the root of all light things. Okay, so another understanding. A wedding, for example, all right, a wedding, right? Okay, it's an important and solemn matter, right? I mean, wedding, right? The wedding oath, right? Okay, but at the same time, the wedding celebration it's generally light-hearted, right? It's happy, it's merry, with jokes, laughing, socializing, music, right? So, a wedding. I mean, you can separate the two parts. One is the wedding, what's that, ceremony, yeah, or yeah, ceremony, and then the other one is the celebration, right? Okay, right? I mean, so, but it's all wedding. That's all part of the wedding. Okay, so general lightness, laughter, happiness of a wedding celebration, right? So that's the qing part, right, portion. But it's what? Based or built on top of the solemn promise of two people to another, the wedding vow, right? That's what that. So that laughter, happiness, celebration, lightness, right? Yeah, the is comes from where? I mean, comes from the solemn, the heavy, the gravitas, the solemn oath, right? That two people made to each other, right? That's the wedding vow, or in the wedding ceremony, okay, at a church or wherever, church, temple, etc., etc. Okay, so additional is this. This is always the case with human affairs. If it is a worthwhile thing, okay, then it has to have gravitas, which is, 重, heaviness, as a solid foundation where you can build up on top of it to include lightness, the the happiness, the laughter, the socializing, happy emotions, moods, etc. But if you have lightness, or all that, laughter, frivolous things, etc., without an underlying solid foundation, then it will easily collapse. It will dissipate and go nowhere. It'll be not meaningful, not very meaningful. All right. So that's the first phrase. There's a deeper meaning for the heaviness or gravitas. It's basically our moral virtues. Okay. We have to have. So when I talked about just the previous, about the wedding example, that's external, right? Because that, you can see it, right? You can touch it, you can hear it, you can see it. Whereas now this is internal, okay? So that's the deeper meaning of 重. It's our moral virtues, okay? So that's within us, right? And then 清, same thing, okay? It's metaphor for anything that's non-essential, all things, or things that are not constant, lasting, or that change, right? Whereas the moral virtues don't change, right? It's constant, right? It's permanent. It's innate, you can say, okay? Right? So deeper understanding. All right? We need to rely on our moral virtues as a foundation for everything we think, say, or do. If it's meaningful, if everything that we think, say, or do is meaningful, then it needs to have a foundation, which is our moral virtues. Okay? All right. Another understanding. From a worldly perspective, if we do not have a solid foundation, difficult tasks are not easy to achieve, right? Right? Makes sense. Solemn tasks, right? If you're going to become a president, right? Or, become, or the leader of anything, be a company, team, you need to have some kind of solid foundation, right? Okay. But by starting with the easier things first, and by continuing to accumulate more virtues, then the difficult tasks will begin. Yeah. So to get there, you start with small things, little things, baby steps. All right. Further understanding. If we do not have enough moral virtues or a virtuous foundation, a weighty goal cannot proceed. Yeah, something that's lofty, that's noble, that's very meaningful, right? Or very important. It's hard to achieve, right? Or you can't even proceed. So instead, start with something easier. This way, the weighty matter will naturally be achieved as we accumulate sufficient moral virtue. So this is how we cultivate, right? So yeah, what is the weighty or heavy goal? What's our ultimate goal? Be a Buddha, right? Become enlightened. attain Buddhahood, right? Achieve, Buddhahood. Well, if we don't have any moral virtues or virtuous foundation, I don't think we can achieve it, right? I don't think can you. So we start small. Okay, yeah. And what's the most basic? The term is what? 6 Chinese words, right? To what? Change our bad habits and correct our or get rid of or rid our bad temper, right? So 改毛病去脾气. That's something small. Well, even within that, there's small and large too. But start things small at first, right? Because it's easier, right? And then over time, you can expand and go to something that's, heavier or, more significant, et cetera, right? Same idea, okay? All right, second phrase now. We're talking about second phrase, which is quiet about this, right? Okay, quietness or quietude is the master of restlessness, okay? Jing, yeah, Jing just means, yeah, quietude, serenity, silence, stillness, tranquility, okay, all that, all right? Zao, Zao means excited, hot-tempered, impatient, impetuous, rash, restless, or tense, okay? Jing, okay, Jing, generally, usually it means gentleman. It can mean gentleman, or in Confucius, philosophy, it's the ideal person, man. But it also could mean master, chief, noble, lord, monarch, even prince, sovereign. Okay, right? Jing and Chen, right? So Jing is like the ruler. You can say sovereign. Okay, and then Chen is like the minister or the second in command, or the people that the people that work for the sovereign or ruler, etc. Okay, all right. Basic meaning, okay, of the second phrase is just as the serious is far more important in the Tao than the superficial, being quiet is far more valued than being restless. Okay, keeping serenity will not lose our composure and poise. Okay, this is just very basic meaning. Okay, there's a more. Another understanding is all things, whether it's heavy, light, solemn, frivolous, exist in the Tao, but may not be equal depending on the conditions or situation. All right. Okay. Another understanding is when we are restless. This is getting a little bit deeper, or rash, or irritable, impatient, hot temper, then that means that our master is not in control. Then we're driven by what? Emotions or situations, right? Okay, so what Lao Tzu is hinting at, there's a deeper understanding of what Jing is. It's basically this. It's our natural, unperturbed state of our Buddha nature essence. Okay, that's the nature, or you can say characteristic of our Buddha nature. The nature or characteristic of our Buddha nature is not to be impatient, hot-tempered, rash. Okay, that's human nature. Okay, all right, or emotions. Okay, the deeper understanding, meaning of Zao means all our desires, emotions, and attachments caused by the interaction of the six consciousness and the six roots. Okay, when we interface, when our sense portals or rukan, you say our roots, right? Sensory roots interact or interface with our environment, with our surrounding, with the external world, basically. Okay, well, the six is our mind. That's internal, but anyway. Okay, so that's what Zao means. Okay, that's when it creates. Okay, now the deeper meaning of Jing. Okay, it's internal. It's our true master, our Buddha nature, our true self. Okay, so it's not the sovereign, the ruler, the external, the title. It's not that position. Okay, just means our true master. Okay, deeper understanding. Second phrase. When our minds are still, irritability will not manifest. Quietude can control the restless thoughts. Our true self will be in charge and be in control of our restlessness. Okay, that's what it's saying. All right. Further understanding is thus the proper emphasis of the Tao is on this. First is being thoughtful as opposed to being thoughtless. Thoughtless, yeah. Mindfulness or awareness over carelessness or ignorance. Okay, so yeah, that's the emphasis of the Tao, right? All right. Okay, second one is deeper feelings or deep feelings, or you can say true feelings or sincere feelings over fleeting moods. The depth of one's feelings means these feelings are true, lasting, constant, genuine, and sincere, while the fleeting moods come and go, random and unpredictable, depending on circumstance. That which is not lasting is not the Tao, while those which are congruent with the Tao are constant, lasting. Okay? All right. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Third item is careful consideration over random choices. Okay, so it's not, flip a coin type of thing. Okay, all right. Okay, so the Tao is about making careful and wise choices. Okay, you have to make wise and careful, conscious choices. Okay, when we're cultivating the Tao, not about being random, not about following one's whims, which is lightness without a foundation, right? It's there's that term. I forgot capricious, right? Not being capricious. Okay, all right, all right. So fourth item, in-depth engagement over faddish dabbling. So heaviness, 重, means one is invested in something and want to look into it more deeply and engage in it more fully. So when we decide to cultivate, that's something that's heavy, right? That's a serious thing, right? That's an important matter. So you want to be invested. You don't just say, oh, let me test it out. it's like you're going to a gym or whatever, or yoga class. Let me test it out. If I don't feel like it, I can let it go. Well, then that's being whimsical, right? Okay, so faddish dabbling is the opposite, just like a dilettante who engages without serious intentions, showing frivolous or superficial interest, just getting the surface flavor without getting it into deeply, following a fad, right? So we don't want that, right? So these are all what we Lao Tzu call light, okay? All right. So the fifth item is, now that's the second phrase, is dignified composure over fidgety agitation. Example, what are the four awe-inspiring postures? 四为意, right? Okay, as a matter of fact, the four awe-inspired postures in Buddhist teachings is the foundation. Did you know that? It's the foundation of the Buddhist the Buddhist monks or nuns precepts. Okay, I think the monks have 250, the nuns have 300, and then there's additional more. Okay, for other groups. Okay, but the foundation of those precepts, if you will, are based on the four awe-inspiring, postures, or they call it deportments, or postures, comportments. Okay, versus a restless behavior, which indicates no gravitas, not serious, not dignified. Okay, composure or dignity. Okay, no composure, no dignity. Okay, all right. Okay, number 6. Quiet observation over impulsive action. Okay, so the Tao cultivator learns to look at things quietly, observe things quietly, and not give in to childish impulses to do whatever comes to mind. All right, so there's a discipline, a self-control. All right, okay, mindfulness, awareness. All right, okay. Last, the 7th item is calm composure over chaos. Yeah, that's very important, right? Our minds and behaviors remain peaceful and calm, no matter what the state of external surroundings is like. Yeah, it's not easy, but that's because that's what our Buddha nature is. Our Buddha nature is always calm. Doesn't matter what the outside environment is like. Okay, so we too must be like that. Okay, our minds and behaviors should follow. All right, higher understanding. Okay, that's another thing. So both these qualities, heaviness and stillness, are the qualities of our Buddha nature. So that's what allows us, making this thesis. Okay, making this you can say that's his thesis proposition, saying, "Ooh, this heaviness and stillness are the qualities of our Buddha nature." Okay, so the implication is all thoughts and actions are based on our moral virtues. Our natural, unperturbed essence can control our restless thoughts, okay? Or wild thoughts, okay? We're always racing, right? So, that's why we always say, not to let a single thought arise. That's the idea. So the key point, by relying on our moral virtues, we can build up a solid foundation for all our thoughts and actions, because the entire cosmos, all space and time, all phenomena, all matters are all within our Buddha nature. Okay? Okay, so that's the thesis, okay, of his. Okay, now we go to section 2, which is the more in detail, okay, which is this is the first third, okay, all right. So he says, now he goes into detail. He says, therefore, the sages, now in different text, okay, they in the text in Chinese, some texts have used the term 圣人 or sages, or some use 君子, okay, instead, because it comes from that first, even though, from the first sentence here, they use 君, okay, but, so I'm showing the two. I mean, the interpretation is not too much different, even though 圣人 implies more things, but okay, or more gravitas. Okay, so therefore, either the sages or in some texts it says 君子, the person of honor. Okay, travel an entire day without leaving the heavy supplies. That's like, I mean, why would it takes Lao Tzu to tell, to say something like this, which is seems very simple and not very deep. Well, it has its meaning. Okay, so let's go to the, okay. 中 means, it can mean in, but it also means the entire, the whole day. Okay, so traveling a whole day, okay, so let's look at that term. What's traveling a whole day? About basic, let's look at basic. Thus, the sages travel an entire day. Okay, okay, that's the first half of this phrase or sentence. Okay, but there's a deeper meaning. What's traveling the whole day? It's not about it's a trip in this physical realm or world. It's not about a day trip or whatever, 2-day travel. No, it's about the journey in life. Okay, all right, so that's a metaphor. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, so what that means then is that the journey of life is also the lifelong journey of cultivation for Tao masters, which is, you can say, 君子, as well as sages, right? They all of us, whether or not, we're at different stages of cultivation or whatever, we all have to make that same lifelong journey. Okay, all right. The deeper meaning, as we should know by now, is of 圣人, is our Buddha nature essence. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, that should be the deeper meaning. Okay, all right. So that's internal, right? When we say sage, that's external. That's a person, right? A master, or that's a person. That's a physical entity. Well, the deeper meaning is, or the internal meaning, it's a non-physical, intangible entity, which is our Buddha nature. Okay, so then the deeper meaning of the first phrase is that our Buddha nature essence is always with us on our journey of life, right? Otherwise, we would not be alive, number one, okay? All right, I'll be able to make that journey, right? So that means our Buddha nature is always with us, okay? It's on our journey. Okay, so now that's the first phrase. So the second phrase, not without leaving the heavy supplies. That's kind of redundant, right? Or okay, now this is important to know what the definition is. Okay, all right, 自重. Okay, literally it means heavy. Well, it means supplies heavy. Okay, or heavy. Okay, it just means cargo. Okay, if you look it up in a dictionary, standard dictionary, it could mean freight or military logistics or heavy supplies or military supply wagon. Okay, that's essential for a long trip or campaign, etc. Okay, so the basic meaning of the second phrase is this: it's like, all right, in a long journey, okay, we need to rely on heavy supplies, which is what the basics of a journey are. What, for food, tools, implements for cooking, camping gear, etc., right? So that's geez, I mean. I don't need a philosopher to talk about that, right? I mean, okay, so obviously it's more than this, okay? All right, so what are the essentials from the first phrase of Journey of Life? What are the essentials then, okay? All right, so it's what? These are some examples are fundamental values that define who you are, that you hold near and dear. Yeah, you must have a view or philosophy, or you stand for something, or you believe in something. You go, well, I'm going to go believe this way, but something that you hold dear, right? Okay, or that you consider important, right? Okay, all right. Then another one is another aspect is this is your faith, your belief or philosophy of life. The central set of beliefs that are essential or necessary for one's life journey, right? Compassion, love, humility, benevolence, etc., right? Okay. And then, you need some talent or skill or knowledge and expertise. Yeah, right? I mean, you need that, right? In our journey of life, right? We can't be ignorant, right? Or we can't have no skills, right? Or we starve, right? Okay. But not only that, you also have to have some goals, dreams, visions, aspirations, right? A goal, something that you want to attain, to achieve, right? To pursue. And lastly, your family, your friends, your dear ones, people that you love, etc., or that you care about. Okay, so these are all examples of some, of things that are essential, or that we that should be part of our journey of life. Okay, all right, okay. Now this additional understanding of the second phrase. Okay, thou masters travel through life without ever losing sight of the fundamentals. Okay, what the truly important things? That's what the essentials. Okay, what are they? The first one is the physical. The first one is the physical aspect. They're all physical except for that. Okay, but this is the more basic, which is you need to have a healthy body, right? A physical body in order to embark on that journey of life. Then you also have to have quality time, right? You have to listen, take care of, and spend quality time with family and friends. And third is, once you have worked out your code of honor or principles, they hold true to them. Okay. Once we figure out, what is it that, what is my belief? What is my principle? Or what is, the code, the moral code, or moral code, that I believe in, or that's meaningful to me. And then you hold true to them. You don't deviate from that and won't compromise. Because to do so, to deviate from those moral code or principles that you have established will mean that you will have left the heavy supplies. Okay. And lastly, they value the intangibles. Okay, besides the tangibles, which is the first two. Things like, qualities such as integrity, obligations, and duty. Okay, much more than, okay? All right. Now, here's the deeper meaning of 輜重, heavy supplies, logistics. Okay, that's external. The internal meaning is our virtuous nature. Okay, so just think, like we are 圣人, right? We have the Buddha nature, right? That's internal, right? But what Buddha nature has innate virtuous qualities of nature. Okay, so that's a 輜重. So the further understanding is the second phrase, especially for those who are not Tao cultivators in their daily lives, what they rely on are the following: fame, wealth, and power, instead of our virtuous nature. They don't rely on the heavy supplies. I mean, Lao Tzu saying the heavy supplies. People say, hey, yeah, I rely on heavy supplies. I need supplies like food, knowledge, skills, stuff. Lao Tzu wasn't talking about that. He's talking about the internal side, which is, what we rely on is our virtuous nature. Whereas those who are not Tao cultivators, who are not the Jingzi or the sages, right, in their life journey, in their life, what do they rely on? All these people who don't know the Tao, or who have left the Tao, or whatever, forgot, what they rely on in their life, throughout their lives. It's one of these three: fame, wealth, and power. Okay, all right, not on virtuous nature. Okay, so the deeper understanding: we should not deviate or deviate from our virtuous nature. We should not leave that behind. Okay, leave those heavy supplies, the essential. Okay, so the higher understanding is the sages and Tao masters all rely on the virtuous nature that is manifested from the Buddha nature essence. Okay, so the implication is all those who are in the Tao rely on their virtuous nature, which is manifested from our Buddha natures. So the key point is, for those who attach importance in cultivating the Tao, right? Not frivolous, or not, just experimenting, okay? Something that you want to immerse yourself or dive deeply, right? Take seriously. They will not pursue those which are illusory and false. Okay, what's illusory and false? These, okay, fame, wealth, and power. That's illusory. Okay, because they're not permanent. All right, and you can't take it with you, right? I don't think you can take any of this thing with you if we go, right? Right. Okay. All right. Now let's go to the second part of the second section. Okay, so this is further, Lao Tzu is further. He's further laying down the reasons, okay, for his first statement at the beginning of the chapter. Okay, so he's just putting. Okay, so he's using more images here. Okay, so the first one is an image of the journey of life, not leaving the essentials behind, right, in the journey. Now there's another one. Okay, another perspective. He's saying, even though there are luxurious sights, they are composed and transcend beyond. Okay, luxury. Okay, long. Okay, that's here. Okay, it generally means flourishing, something that's prosperous, thriving. It can mean glory, honor, splendor. Okay, it could be a verb to grow. Okay, guan means to observe, right? To observe, to look at, okay, to watch. It could also mean a noun, means appearance, sight, view, outlook. Okay, so now this term is not used in modern Chinese, but there's an ancient usage or meaning, connotation of this term. Okay, 荣光. Okay, literally it means glorious sight. Yeah, that's what the literal translation. But in the original meaning, in the in the ancient context or usages, the glorious sight of a grand palace. It's what a ruler or an emperor would be looking at. Okay, or what now that can then you can say expand to mean sites of attractive luxuries in general. Now, in this context, it's negative. Okay, it's not a positive thing. It's not a good thing. Okay, all right. Okay, it just means that we are attracted by all these, external, attractions. Okay, or okay, all right. So the basic meaning of the first phrase is: as we travel in this journey of life, we will see things that appear to be very attractive. Obviously, okay, in this world, okay, there's so many things that, that could attract, you know, not just our eyes, okay, yeah, our eyes, our ears, our nose, our mouth, our touch, sense of touch, even our mind, okay, so, all right, so another understanding is all the material temptations in life present themselves as very attractive. Okay, you can, right? Then a further understanding is as people travel through the journey of life, they will veer off the path for temptations and distractions. Yeah, that's, all right? So that's the first phrase. Now, the second phrase, the sentence is, yen, okay, that's, now, literally, it means a bird, a swallow. Okay, that's. It could also mean to entertain, to feast, etc., or it could mean banquet. But in ancient usage, it means or being comfortable, being at ease. Okay, repose, compose, tranquil. Okay, it could mean. To also means, it means it could be a verb or a noun. Verb means to deal with, to manage, or to dwell. Okay, all right. It could mean also a place or position. Okay. Now, so the ancient usage of this phrase, "yanchu," literally, it's a swallow, the bird, resting comfortably in its nest. Okay, that's what literally it means in the ancient usage. But what it means on a metaphorical level is to be perfectly composed, unmoved, unperturbed by distractions. Okay, that's what the ancient usage means. Okay, all right. Okay, Cao means okay, line. Okay, means in this case it just means yes. Okay, or so, or correct. Okay, so the basic meaning of second phrase is like swallows resting comfortably in their nest, sages are perfectly composed and at ease, always keeping the truly important things in mind. They are not easily distracted by the non-essentials or by those external attractions or the material temptations, etc., etc. Okay? All right. Another understanding is sages are not away from their heavy supplies, right? That's in the sense above, okay, the previous line, okay? So they keep the essentials and fundamentals close at hand and thus are not tempted by the illusory time wasters, okay, right? Another way to understand it is by always keeping the essentials in mind, this is the reason why they can transcend beyond the distractions and temptations of the luxurious sites. Okay, right. So you just have to be mindful, right? Remember, being mindful of, what's the more important thing, okay, and what's real or what's false, right? Okay, all right. Okay, so the important understanding is the idea is not about suppressing or denying a natural desire, right? Yeah, our six senses or, the six portals, yeah, they generate a lot of desires, right? Because, right? But to transcend it with the reminder of what your real purpose is, that is the essential for the journey of life. Yeah, because if we're just trying to suppress, then, Buddha has stories, that there was a couple, not monks, but just outsiders. They were saying, hey, Buddha, you're talking about, we can't be it, distracted or tempted by all these external sights, sounds, etc., etc. Well, why don't you tell your monks to then, cut out their eyes or whatever, plug up their ears or whatever, so they can't see anything or hear anything that will distract. Well, Buddha says the eyes and the ears, those are just tools, functions, right? So you don't, it's not, it's it doesn't it doesn't solve the fundamental uh, issue, right? Okay, right. So the fundamental issue is your mind. Okay, all right. So as long as you can remind yourself or be mindful what your purpose is, what you're doing, right? Then your tools, the functions, the eyes, the ears, etc., the sense portals will be under your control. All right, and all right. So that's what Buddha was explaining to one of the, I think, some other master or something. Okay, deeper meaning of Yanchu. It's there's another meaning. Is that it means that you have no material things. Okay, and the deeper meaning of Caoran is to transcend all material things. Okay, right? I mean that's the extreme. Okay, that's the higher. Okay, that's the highest level. Okay, so what Lao Tzu is saying that he's placing more emphasis on the essentials or heavy supplies, which are those background assets or qualities, or you can say hidden assets or qualities, which in turn are our virtues. Then those virtues that are nurtured from the Buddha nature. Okay, so the higher understanding is that Lao Tzu treats the material life very lightly. He doesn't dwell on it. Okay, or he doesn't attach too much emphasis on those things, but he does not emphasize it. Okay, so because this journey of life is also a journey of time. Okay, time, which is limited and very short for us, right? Okay, maybe, I don't know, 70, 80, 100 years. So we need to make the best of this short time to minimize the distractions and temptations, since they are all illusory and not permanent, not the way of the Tao. Okay? So the implication of this line is, okay, in this journey of life, sages are not tempted by the numerous material distractions and temptations, the luxurious sights. Rather, they focus on the essentials, 实重. This is a very important lesson to master. Okay, it's not easy, but if we can master it, then you'll be able to progress on that journey very easily. Okay, or much easier. Okay, key point: sages emphasize the virtues of our Buddha nature and are not influenced by all the material distractions or temptations. Okay, so that's the second line or sentence of the middle of section 2. Now we come to the last line of section 2. All right. So how can the Lord of 10,000 chariots apply himself lightly to the world? Okay, yeah, 1,000, that's 10,000. Okay. Okay, Lord. Okay. The deeper meaning of 1,000, okay, it's not just 10,000 chariots. Okay, that's what it literally means. Chariots or carts. Okay, in those days, in the old days, it's a chariot. It could be a wagon, but it's okay. 1,000 just means numerous things, tasks that one must manage in life or one must deal with in life. Okay. All righty. Let's look at. Okay, basic meaning of this line. All right, is how can be the master? How can one be the master of myriad things or tasks, etc., and yet treat everything else as important? Well, you can't, right? So that's what Lao Tzu is asking. Okay, to emphasize, right, that remember that notion of heaviness and lightness, right? The essential versus non-essential. Okay, all right. So that's what he's asking. All right, you can't. Okay, so another understanding is how can be one in charge mirror things and still treat everything as frivolous. You can't, right? Treat everything lightly because that's an important task or duty, right? Or responsibility, right? The other additional understanding is how can one be unmindful, not serious, and careless with everything and still be in charge of numerous things? We can't, all right? Okay. Then there's another meaning of 万乘之主. Okay, that means monarch, because in the old days in ancient China, usually only a ruler or a monarch would have 10,000. Then let's say a duke or a prince maybe have 1,000 chariots, and then maybe a marquis or a lower level aristocrat would have maybe 500 sat down the line. Okay, so that's another meaning. So some people translate this as a king or a monarch. Okay, this line. All right, further understanding, or a ruler. Okay, so further understanding, another way to do is how can a ruler treat himself with importance, yet treat everything and everyone else frivolously or lightly, okay, or not seriously, okay? All right, so, or only care about himself and don't care about everybody else, okay? So the deeper understanding is, how can one just care mostly about himself and cares very little about the world? Okay, yeah, that's okay. All right, not just a ruler, but being more generic here. All right, higher understanding is, as Tao cultivators, okay, when we approach any task, large or small, we must treat it with serious intent, with mindfulness, importance, and proper respect, gravitas, okay, and not treat it lightly, not be frivolous about it, okay? So implication is, as Tao cultivators, we must not just care only for ourselves or too much for ourselves. That's selfishness. But also care more about everybody else. It's selfless compassion. That is part of our virtuous nature, right? Remember, our Buddha nature is ego-less, has no ego, okay? And yet it displays those four immeasurable minds, right? Right? Which is what? Infinite compassion, right? Infinite mercy or infinite, right? 慈悲喜舍, right? Okay. Infinite joy and also relinquishment, okay? So the key point is, this is a reminder that we cannot just care only about ourselves, but we must also care about everything else or everyone else, as well as treating all matters, large or small, with serious intent, thoughtfulness, importance, and respect, gravitas, okay? All right. Okay, so we finished the middle section 2, which is more or less the detail, right? So he's using he gave 3 different examples or perspectives, okay? Okay, now comes the conclusion. Okay, so saying, if we don't have gravitas, or we don't take things with importance, then and instead we take things lightly, then this is what happened. Okay, it's to be light is to lose one's root. To be restless is to lose one's mastery. Okay. Basic meaning of first phrase. The consequence of being light, frivolous, not serious, superficial, undignified, disrespectful, etc., is to lose one's root, which is the foundation or fundamentals in life. Okay. Or be out of touch. Okay, that's another way of saying. Okay. Another understanding is to lose one's root is to become adrift in life, aimless, directionless, and purposeless in one's journey of life. Yeah, you don't have a foundation, right? You have no principles, you have no aim, right? Okay, all right. There's nothing that values that you value, right? That consistently, right? So, all right. So then we become adrift in life, aimless, not living a life of purpose, okay, or not knowing what the goal is. Okay, all right. Okay, so further understanding of first phrases. Okay, now we go back to if you're a ruler. As a ruler, if we treat everyone and everything lightly, the ruler's foundation or source of support is the people, right? And when the people no longer trust and support the ruler, then the ruler cannot govern. The ruler will lose his position, right? So that's the same idea, right? That's why, from the section 2, right? Okay. All right. Okay, so then there's the second phrase about restless, okay, and losing one's mastery. Is basic meaning is the consequence of being restless, okay, is to lose one's mastery, okay, rash, right, impatient, okay, all that, okay. Now, here's the broader scope and broad and narrow, okay, implications. So I mean, to lose one's mastery over one's life. Yeah, you lose control, okay, of your life. And the narrow is to lose control or mastery over a specific situation or matter, okay? Now, the important understanding is this: to not have our Buddha nature or true self be the master of our lives. That's the danger, okay? That's where being restless is to lose one's mastery, okay? It's that we don't have a true master. Who are our masters? It's the six senses, okay, or the six consciousness, okay? So that's the danger, okay? All right. So, okay. Further understanding. If we are not calm and still, okay, then we have no master. Our Buddha nature is not in charge. All things are done by the what? Six roots, six consciousness, etc. Okay. All right. So additional understanding is many things done by the six roots are not good. Okay. Most are bad. And why? Because they create karma. Okay. And then that just means we dig ourselves deeper. We're gonna end up having to reincarnate again. Okay. Right. So the deeper understanding of the second phrase is that, so the six roots are very strong and the Buddha nature is very weak. Then why did it turn this way? Why did it turn out this way? Because we treat the Buddha nature too lightly, frivolously, all right, superficially, okay, unimportant, and we do not consider it as important. Okay, that's why. Then the Buddha nature is in the background. We totally, you can say, neglected, okay, or overlooked it, okay. Instead, we turn our attention to our six roots, six consciousness, okay, and that's why it becomes so strong, because they become our habits, okay. All right, higher understanding. All right, we should know that the six roots come about only after there's a body. There are no six roots if we have no bodies, okay? Right? So after body is gone, the six roots take no responsibilities and also gone too, right? They disappear, okay? So what's left? Only the Buddha nature essence remains to bear the burden, okay? Okay, so that's pretty sad, okay? So the implication is we do not allow the six roots to do irresponsible things. Okay, six roots will not take responsibility, and the Buddha nature will be held responsible. Okay, the Buddha nature will be left holding the bag. Okay, all right. So here's the concluding key point. Sages do not depart from the heavy supplies, because heaviness or gravitas and quietness or stillness are the reliable resources and essentials for the journey of life. Okay. All right. I took about an hour, right? So, okay. That's it. So this is a relatively short hour. So there are things that I said that are incomplete or wrong. I ask for Buddha's and Lao's forgiveness and guidance. Okay. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah. So, our moral, our virtues, virtues Buddha nature, that's what we can always rely on. That's the heavy stuff, the heavy supplies that no matter...
Essential.
Yeah, there's the essentials to life. The other stuff, external stuff is that comes and goes, and you can actually do without a lot of it. So
yeah. I mean, just the basics, like food.
Well, yeah.
Like that. I mean, but you don't keep pursuing, right? You say, oh, I want more, if I, right? And not become attached, right? Because those are just, basics. They're not right? They're not the fundamentals that will make us successful in our journey.
Right.
One time, our holy teacher mentioned it in Dhamma class in New York. He said, especially in America, we are kind of emphasize fame, power, wealth, but that's what all the people are pursuing today. Mm-hmm. Okay, but as long as we don't overdo, okay, as long as we have enough of them, and then we can make a living, especially the wealth, and we don't overdo, then there are other things very important to us, like virtues, like our Buddha nature always in charge. So we need to make sure we emphasize on those areas, not just pursue fame, power, and also wealth. Because those stuff will not go with us. When we leave this world one day, we only take our merits and karmas with us only. Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason why Lao Tzu or all the Buddhas do not emphasize those three things, right? Fame, wealth, and power, right? Is because if we keep consistently emphasizing these or pursue this, then what's going to happen? We're going to neglect our Buddha nature, our innate virtues, right? And so we're just going to spend all our time in life trying to pursue these three things, right? So we kind of like neglect those things, right? Neglect what's the truly important, which is our virtuous nature, right? Okay? And that's the problem. That's why Buddha, when any disciple wants to follow him, they gotta give these three things up. And they can only have what? 2 sets of, robes or clothes and a begging bowl. That's it. Right? That's Buddha's requirement, right? You want to become his disciple, that's what you have to do. And he had his reasons. Because to him, our virtuous nature is the most important, whereas these are all secondary, right?
One thing the Buddha tried to teach all these cultivators from old days, old ancient times. The key is those stuff, like fame, power, and also wealth. Even our body. When we leave this world, we cannot take with us. So they want people to understand those are not last forever. But when we are Buddha nature and our virtues, when we leave this world one day, those stuff will go with us. All the merits, all the virtues with our Buddha nature together to go with us.